Hey guys, I wanted to try to get time to get out here and make a video because there are a certain pattern of questions coming up a lot during the week this week, and when I'm making this, it's the end of the week here, and just wanted to share with you, what I'm reading through, what I'm trying to respond to. And a lot of this was about, kind of skeptical, understandably skeptical questions. That this age reversal thing that we've been talking about for a long time, prevention of, what they call normal aging, or reversing it if you're already old person like me or even older, and what you can do. Got leaves falling on me. It's a nice, beautiful fall day. How much of it's really possible? Is it true that you have to go through this really horrible old age period? I think it's euphemistically called the golden years, when you're forgetting who you are and you can't move and you lose your balance and you fall down and break your hips, and all kinds of fun things that you start getting into, right? That are supposedly normal, and all this is controlled by genetics and bad luck and everything, and there's nothing that you can do about it. That kind of bothered me when I first started becoming aware of it, and I have to admit right up front, most of it I don't know. I'm just a beginner. I started working on this kind of stuff about getting rid of degenerative disease and age reversal and immunity, natural immunity, without injecting poisonous things into your body, which is not a brilliant thing to do. And I started working on all that seriously in my work in about 1965, and so I haven't even finished the first 100 years of it. I'm only into the second half century of that investigation, and it takes some of us who are slow learners, it takes us a long time to figure it out. So I've gotten parts of it, and my approach has been kind of like trial and error type thing, with the emphasis on error, of course, and making as many stupid mistakes as I possibly could in my life in general, but also in the research for trying to figure out what's this aging thing. You look at a picture of yourself, not now, because the kids are being made sick and the majority of them have chronic diseases, which is totally ridiculous. It's because of what's being done to them in the name of science and medicine, but that's another story there. I don't want to make this a 4-hour video. You take a picture of yourself. Let's say you were a healthy child and you escaped all the things that they do to kids now. And when you're like 18 or 20 years old, you have a picture of what your body looks like then. And you take another one when you're old and you say, wait a minute, what happened? We're not tractors, we're not like automobiles. We don't just wear out and get thrown away. Well, I guess we do now, but we're not supposed to. And why? Because we're self-healing organisms. That you're, as Dr. Bergman and other ones explain really well, John Bergman, and it's a good YouTube channel to look at. He explains very well that your cells keep renewing themselves. Even bone cells, joint cells, all kinds of cells, they keep renewing themselves all the time. So why is it that they look worse and worse and worse, and they don't function anymore and start falling apart? Is that normal? Well, after this first little part of my own investigation, the first 54 years or so, I would say no, it is not normal. At least it's not normal by the design parameters that we were built according to, that we were created according to. We're self-healing if we bring learn how to relate to our mind in a new way and bring that back into harmony with our real potential and our details of our physical lifestyle. We fix those up too. Everything changes and the body starts operating like it's designed to. And this is not my discovery. I discovered for myself, but a lot of other people have too, and they've talked about it. Marcus is doing great work, Marcus Rothkranz, and I'd love to see him on a video without makeup or hair color, because I think he would look like he actually looks. But even with the makeup and hair color that I think he uses for his videos, which is fine, he's obviously made massive strides in the age reversal thing, and he's doing incredibly. It's like in his late 50s now, and very inspiring. I recommend people watch his video channel, Marcus Rothkranz. We've talked about him for a long time, and in fact he was kind enough to be the first guest on Lost Arts Radio 5 years ago, and I still have deep appreciation for that. But the question remains, what is our potential? You know, I think at this point it seems to me that we're designed to physically keep our body, our costume, you know, what many people think is themselves, but it's just your body, your physical body. I think it's designed to stay in good condition until you leave this lifetime. And all these degenerative diseases and infectious diseases and all this kind of stuff, that's not normal at all. And if we're getting that stuff happening, if we're losing our mental capabilities and our physical capabilities, we can't move very well anymore, we end up not being able to walk, and all these lovely things that happen to huge numbers of people, it doesn't mean that's inevitable or normal at all. What it means is we're making mistakes. So I realized that a long time ago, and I thought, all right, I don't know where the owner's manual is. I don't have a printed PDF of it, but I know there is one, and it's probably embedded in our consciousness somewhere. So trying to not squint in the sun here. The question is, all right, if you don't have a printed copy of the owner's manual, what do you do? You know, where do you find it? And the thing is, I realized it's in us, it's in our consciousness, and we've been cut off from it, just like we've been cut off from knowing how to take care of the physical body, and we ended up believing in all this nonsense stuff that they call science and medicine now. Much of it, it's great for, you know, if you get run over by a car or something, they're fantastic heroic doctors that'll put you back together again. But as far as their understanding of health and disease, it's like worse than Dark Ages. Many of the treatments now cause more damage than the disease that they supposedly treat, and these things that they inject into you through hollow needles, I'm not going to say the V word about that, but you know what I'm talking about. Those often create the disease that they're supposedly preventing, or even worse, they set us up for degeneration in ways that we don't need to be having happen in our lives. So there's another approach which is really dependent on understanding how the body is designed, how to work with it, how to keep it in harmony with laws of nature that we're not taught in school. That's really been a strong interest of mine for, as I say, many decades. And first of all, it was to get rid of my own serious health problems in the 60s, but actually were developing before that. But after that, after I gradually figured out how to do that and dumped the whole medical system and did it on my own, and by digging into investigating natural protocols that were used thousands of years ago. And you can see a little hint of that if you read volume 1 of this Essene Gospel of Peace. It's on our website on lostartsradio.com. So I spent about 40 or 50 years adapting that protocol to use in modern times now, with all these epidemics of degenerative disease, and even in America where they're spending massive amounts on, I think they call it healthcare. It's not really healthcare, but they call it that. Even with all that money, people are sicker than ever, and not even just old people like myself and those even older, but the kids. You know, they have chronic diseases now that is totally ridiculous. I was reading the work of Dr. Porter, who did a lot of work with raw milk, which the vegans think is one of the most evil things in the solar system, of course, and I don't blame them. They're sincere about that. They're just mistaken. But he was doing work with raw milk in the late 1800s, before the drug dealers took over medicine. So he was allowed to, you know, to be a real researcher and scientist. And he was fine putting people not on water fasts or juice fasts, but fasts on raw milk, and they were getting over everything, and he was curing all this stuff, and he didn't even get assassinated. That was another time. But I really got into exploring, you know, the whole issue of humans as carnivores, paleo type things and understandings and diets, and then I got into vegetarianism about 1970 and got into exploring veganism later than that, and then eventually raw veganism, because it became really clear that the most powerful nutrients are in foods before they're heated above about 115 or something like that Fahrenheit, and that if you know how to use fasting, which is the built-in detox system, and raw food, that by itself can heal a lot of things. And if you combine that with the right exercise and sleep protocols and grounding and sunlight and things they tell you are going to, you know, we're told that the sun is going to kill us now. There's no safe amount of sunlight. It's so bad. May not be entirely accurate, to put it mildly. And in fact, the sun isn't, this is I guess breaking news, the sun is not a mistake of God. It's not a mistake of nature. It's not just good for you, it's essential for your skin and your eyes and everything. But if you're not used to it, and you've been hiding yourself from it, and you have learned that it causes all these terrible diseases, you have to learn how to, again, get acclimated very gradually. And if you do it without detoxing your system, it starts bringing out all this corrosive garbage through your skin, which is a giant elimination organ. And then the sun gets blamed for causing the disease that the poisons passing through the pores are actually causing. So there's a lot of understanding that has to happen in a totally different way than what we're taught. But anyway, that's what I've been trying to work on since the 60s, and I consider myself an absolute beginner in this stuff. You know, there's no doubt, there's nothing to be arrogant about when you start learning, because what happens is you realize that compared to what there is that you need to still learn, you don't know anything. And that a lot of our medical personnel and scientists and academicians, I guess you call them, people in academia, they're subliminally taught arrogance. So, oh yeah, I have this degree, so, you know, nobody knows as much as I do except other people who have the degree, and their training is so specialized, they have no idea of the context, and they're subject to misusing what they learned, and it creates a disaster, which is not just random. It's intentional. There are people at levels above them that are orchestrating this kind of stuff, and they're hiding real health information, many areas of real science, real information on energy, real information on the environment, on what's going on with climate issues. The truth about all these things is being actively hidden, and it's up to us to find it anyway, instead. And I found out we can do that. So I've gotten enough little glimpses as a beginner and experience of you can feel highly energized and never get sick. You know, first of all, the understanding of getting sick is completely skewed, what we're taught. It's not some evil germ attacking you. It's like Pasteur discovered near the end of his life after he made the mistake about the first understanding of the germ theory. And he said in French, the germ is nothing, the terrain is everything. Meaning that if your tissues in your body, which is really like your costume as long as you're in the physical world, if the tissues in the body are malnourished or full of toxic junk, like most of us all are because of what's going on in the world right now and what we eat and drink and smoke, some of us, and stuff, the drugs you take, which are just toxic chemicals. They're not medicine, they're toxic chemicals. Even if you say, put pictures of bluebirds on the package and say, medicine, the most wonderful medicine, miracle drug, it's a toxic chemical. And that's not the only way to deal with health and disease. So it's a vast subject, but I just wanted to let you know, yes, from what my opinion as a beginner in this, since my work started in 65 or so, I would say at the moment, my impression is, yes, it's definitely possible to reverse physiological age, to feel really great, to be athletically functional, and be able to run around instead of stumbling, everywhere you go, and just to feel good, sleep good, and all. That's normal. That is not spectacular. You don't need drugs to do it. Drugs are a big distraction in general, and there may be emergency cases, where you have to use toxic chemicals to get by for the moment, but unless you've let them cut out organs that you have, which is not really a good plan in most cases, and you've got your body still with you, it's better not to become an addict of drugs, whether they're over-the-counter, illegal, medical, whatever. They're taking you away from tuning into what nature can do for you. That's just my experience. Only a medical doctor, of course, can tell you the truth about that, but I'm just sharing my non-medical doctor experience with you so far. And I'm encouraging you that, yes, it really is possible to physiologically reverse your age. Probably not your chronological age, unless you know how to reverse time, which I haven't figured out, but your physiological age, absolutely. I mean, you look at somebody like Marcus and it's obvious, and there are other examples as well. It is definitely possible. If you know what you're doing as a kid, and you are in that very rare situation where you're not fed a bunch of garbage and you learn what's going on and how to take care of yourself, then you can prevent it. But people like me just took forever to learn anything about it, and our only hope is to reverse it to the extent that we're not hampered in finishing off our life doing the things we want to do. And in my case, my motivation after I got rid of my health issues, which is a while back, that I didn't want to feel terrible. It's really simple. I think everybody, people pursuing really beneficial things, good people, and the really bad people that have infiltrated most of the power positions high up in the government structure and the corporate structures, government agencies and stuff, even they are just trying to feel good. It's just they're a little confused, and they think doing all these bad things is going to make them feel good because they have more power over you that way. Everybody's trying to feel good, and so I'm telling you, even if you're in the power structure and you're watching this, and I know it's getting to a lot of you, even though they've disabled our view counters and shadow banned us all over the place, that's like government seal of approval to me. And if you're watching this and you're somewhere in that negative power structure, and you're working for evil and deception and things that'll cause pain, and supporting geoengineering and toxic drugs and nuclear power and GMOs and chemical agriculture and all the things are not very good for the people you're giving them to, even in that position, you can do a lot of good, and you can change it. You can become very powerful at doing good things, and the hidden power point is in yourself. You work on yourself. You become, instead of criticizing everybody else, look in yourself. Took me, again, forever to learn this. I made so many stupid mistakes in my life, but hopefully I'm beginning to learn something about it, and there are consciousness changes that you can make that start with taking all that attention that you're giving to judging other people, turn it on yourself, because we've all done bad mistakes in our life, and see what those are. Analyze what you're doing every day in your physical lifestyle, what you're eating and drinking, smoking, drugs, marijuana, other things like that, and clean up your own physical life. And I'm not saying, some people might need marijuana for terminal diseases or things like that, but in general, smoking of anything is a really bad idea, no matter what it is. So if you need it, juice it or something, get it that way. But do an assessment of yourself. They call it self-assessment, and see where you can upgrade what you're doing every day in your life. And not just physically with what you eat and everything, but also how you treat other people, how you think toward other people. You notice the program that's running in the back of your mind, critiquing other people all day, all the time, and let it go. Send them good wishes, honestly, don't fake it, that you wish the best for them. And why? Because, well, they need it. For one thing, it helps them immediately. But they're connected to you on a really deep level, no matter who they are. Even if it's somebody you don't like. If you wish well to them, and you really honestly do it, which is going to take a little bit of attention, that instantaneously comes back and helps you. And people might say, well, what about all the bad people? How can we wish them well? And because underneath their programming that's making them bad, they're exactly the same as we are. It's the programming that varies, that puts a dark lens in front of who they really could be. It doesn't mean don't defend yourself. Self-defense is critical, defense of others when you need to. Those are just strategic, obvious things that are required, but you don't have to hate anybody. The media is trying to make us all racist and sexist and, dividing in as many ways as possible right now. And certain political parties are doing the same thing, but you don't have to fall for it. You never had to fall for it. And if you already fell for it, then you should unfall for it and start projecting love toward everybody. It doesn't mean you're enamored of them, because you're not. That would be dishonest. It means wishing for their benefit, honestly, because underneath the programming that you may not like, that they're acting out right now, underneath that, they're there as a prisoner of that programming, just like we are. And if we were in their prison, looking through their mind and their eyes and their background and their thoughts and their emotions and what they're doing to their bodies and everything, that's what we would be doing. There's no basis for any arrogance or condemnation of anybody. Justice wishing for people to suffer because they did bad is a real bad idea, because what you wish for others, you're going to get in some form. So wish them the best. It comes right back to you. And realize you're an incredible being that has no limits other than what you believe are the limits. It's not even something that you could describe in words. So find it out. Don't fall for this really dull, limited picture of what we are and what we can be, that we just end up falling apart in so-called normal old age, which is a bunch of nonsense. Break out of the programming, break the hypnosis. If you do that, to the degree that you do that, when you do that, I should say, because I know you will, even without saying a word, you're going to have this massive positive effect on everybody else, and it could start what they used to call chain reactions. You break your hypnosis, it's going to energetically encourage other people to do the same thing and make them, even if they're in the high positions of power doing bad things consciously, it's going to reach them, and they're going to start saying, wait a minute, what if I shouldn't be doing this? That's possible for anybody, even non-physical beings who are controlling the top level physical rulers. Maybe some of you know what I'm talking about. The limits are imaginary, and they're very powerful, but only because our imagination is that powerful. So why not use it for something good? Okay, I kept you way longer than I should. I'm sorry, I hope you didn't get too bored, but this is supposed to be relevant to whatever you're experiencing in your body and your life right now. Remember the shows we're having on Sunday night with guests that are working on some really incredible ones, and I hope you get to see them all. That's on lostartsradio.com. It's on all the major platforms until they kick us off, but when they do, just look at brighteon.com, and our channel is brighteon.com/channel/lostartsradio, and they're not going to censor us no matter what. We're already shadow banned on the big ones as it is, so maybe that'll get turned around at some point. They don't show any signs of it yet, but check in at lostartsradio.com and get on our mailing list there, because we can stay in touch with you easier if we happen to disappear from major channels, and send you embedded videos or whatever we have to share. And if you want to help us stay on the air and keep doing the work and the full-time research that I'm still involved in, wanting to take the age reversal and consciousness work to the next level, then look at our Subscribe Star page, subscribestar.com/LostArtsRadio. And if you want to seriously get into working on this stuff on yourself, interactive live every week, this is what we're doing on Planetary Healing Club. And if you're one of those people who happens to be ready for that, because working on yourself, I think, is the most challenging thing you can undertake. It's harder than, fighting all these outer enemies. Working on yourself, not by fighting, but by relaxing and learning what's actually there. That's super rewarding. And if you're ready for that, that's what we do, like mutual support in that effort on Saturdays, and you'll have access to all the archives and everything. That's at planetaryhealingclub.com. If you have questions about that, just write to me, richard@lostartsradio.com, and I'll give you the best answers that I can. There are small dues that are charged for getting into Planetary Healing Club and attending the meetings, and those all go to our nonprofit called Lost Arts Research Institute, because what I want to do with that, the reason it was started, is to build a physical school where all this can be actually demonstrated, and I don't just have to be here on a little camera and trying to paint a picture that I feel like I'm doing a terrible job describing most of this stuff that needs to be done much better. So if we get the funding, then we'll build that school and show you physically, here it is, here's how you do it, and bring back a lot of lost arts and crafts and knowledge and skills and ways of making a living doing what you love, all kinds of good stuff. That's where the money goes from Planetary Healing Club, and anybody that wants to donate on Subscribestar or the donate buttons on our sites. And a little bit of the school, what it could look like, one possible configuration, is on lostartsresearchinstitute.org, and there will be more there in the future. So I think that's most of what I wanted to let you know. Doing a great series in videos with Joel Skousen right now. Those are all available on the main channel, so hope you get to see those. And anyway, the main message of this video, yeah, age reversal is not only possible, it's absolutely real. You can do it. I mean, we've all done damage to our bodies that limit, being able to totally do it, but you can improve it a lot. And most of the doctors don't know about this. They're not teaching it at PhD level in health science classes, but you can learn it anyway. You don't need degrees. You don't need Nobel Prizes. You just need motivation. And if you want to get better and have a better quality of life, it's totally in your hands. You're the person who's in charge. So be encouraged. It's all there behind this really thin barrier there, and you can get right through it. Break the hypnosis and do it with us. We'll do it together. If you're ready for it completely, join us in Planetary Healing Club. Otherwise, just do it yourself, and we'll try to put out useful encouragement in the videos and the shows that we do. The Lost Arts Radio Live is free to the public Saturday afternoons in the U.S. time anyway, 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern, and corresponding times in other countries. Let us know what you think, and subjects that you want covered. Feel free to make suggestions, comments, questions, anything you want, and I'll look forward to hearing from you. Richard@lostartsradio.com. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon.